It seems like we can't go any more than like a couple of days before more and more details begin to trickle out regarding the potential next mainline Monster Hunter game. Monster Hunter Generation 6, or as we are calling it, Monster Hunter 6 or World 2 or Paradise. Naming conventions aside, that's not really the point. The point is that a lot more information is starting to come out and from places you wouldn't necessarily expect. So in this video, I want to talk regarding, not only do a follow-up to a previous video that I spoke about the game actually launching as a PlayStation 5 Pro exclusive. Potentially, that was a discussion point based off of a few things that I've reported on. But also in this video, I also want to talk about the latest information that we got, which is essentially saying that the game might be launching before March of next year. So first and foremost, I'm going to be leaving a link in the description below to Takashi Mochizuki's original Twitter feed and some of their posts that they shared, which I'm going to be overlaying here in this video, and their Bloomberg article. Now, this is a journalist. This is not some, leaker or like fake pseudo leaker like Nate the Fake or whomever who claims to actually be an insider, and there aren't. There's like actual reporting being done here. This person has been talking about, for example, the potential release of a Nintendo Switch for years now. They actually have like access to like real information, so they have been reporting on, like, when it comes to the Nintendo Switch stuff, they have been doing a relatively good job discussing just what we can expect for the next mainline Switch. And they actually spoke about the original Switch heading all the way back into like 2015, many years ago. So they have been doing this for quite a while. Recently, as of pretty much the end of July, they took to social media and they wrote a Bloomberg article where they were talking about the fiscal report for Capcom. This is something that I kind of lightly touched upon in a previous video, but they essentially spoke about how Capcom sales has been just pretty much exploding. It's one of the very few companies alongside Koei Tecmo where the sales have been kind of exploding and they're doing extremely well. And in said article, they touch about the fact that Capcom is expecting a brand new unannounced game to release before March of next year, which will sell multi-million copies. A big, massive influx of cash. For those who don't necessarily know, Japanese companies' fiscal years essentially start from April till March of the following year. So for them, their fiscal report doesn't end with December 2023. It actually ends in March of 2023. So they're expecting their 2023 fiscal report, essentially their yearly net income, to be massively boosted by the end of March. Not, pretty much December, that's how things usually work in the West. When it comes to Japanese companies, they expect it to be massive incomes of cash coming in for March of 2024, which would mean a brand new unannounced game, which we don't necessarily know anything about as of right now. Now, of course, all signs point to the next mainline Monster Hunter game, because we know, like I spoke in a previous video, Resident Evil 9 isn't coming out until 2025. That's not even going to be a 2024 game. They might reveal it at 2024, but it's not coming out until 2025 based off of previous leaks. We don't necessarily know anything else major that they might be releasing. There might be that Pragmata game or something, but I believe that was delayed until 2025 just recently. So there's really nothing that they have released. Maybe a new Devil May Cry could come out of nowhere, maybe at the Game Awards and release in February. Maybe that could be it. But it's most likely going to be Monster Hunter because we are expecting major reveals at Tokyo Game Show. I don't want to get into the details of that. We've already covered that if you have been watching my channel. So essentially, in their article, Takahashi mentions that Capcom is expecting massive influx of money by March of next year. Now, in a previous video, I spoke about the fact that Capcom could potentially tie their next major Monster Hunter release with PlayStation launching their PlayStation 5 Pro. There's been plenty of rumors, plenty of actually sourced information now suggesting that this platform, this brand new expanded boosted console, will be launching late next 2024, essentially July, August, September. Around this time next year, we can be talking a lot about the next mainline PlayStation console, PlayStation 5 Pro, PlayStation 5 Slim. And I suggested in that video, because there's a lot of suggestion being made by a lot of people who happen to know way more on that topic than I do, that Capcom could potentially work out an exclusivity deal, at the very least for Asia. This is something that a lot of people, at the very least in the comment sections, didn't quite understand. I very specifically mentioned that There's no Xboxes in Asia, like when it comes to that. If you look, you don't have to take my word for it. You could just take a closer look at like the sales figures. Xbox, if they sell 3,000 Series X's on like Japan and like Korea a week, that would be like a major sales milestone for them. They don't really sell Xboxes in nations all that well. It's only Nintendo and it comes in PlayStation. There's really no Xbox Asian market out there. So it doesn't really hurt Capcom to make an exclusivity deal with PlayStation if they don't plan to put the next mainline Monster Hunter game on a Nintendo Switch console, Switch 2 or whatever the case is, which we can talk about that in a separate video. I actually have a couple of things that I want to discuss there and get into deeper weeds when it comes to that kind of discussion regarding Monster Hunter and the Nintendo Switch going forward. So it doesn't necessarily hurt Capcom to put it on a PlayStation exclusivity deal when it comes to Asia. It could potentially hurt them if they make an exclusivity deal for Europe and North America. Then you can certainly see those Xbox and even PC players who play here in the West to miss out on those, potential sales if they make the game exclusive to PlayStation, which I certainly see them doing that. And I don't think Capcom is dumb enough to try to do the same thing that Square Enix has been doing, making Final Fantasy mainline games exclusive to PlayStation. You see exactly what's been going on with the sales figures for Final Fantasy 16. They are like half of what Final Fantasy 15 was. And I would argue that Final Fantasy 16 is a much better game than Final Fantasy 15, but the sales figures don't represent that because they made it a PlayStation 5 exclusive and they are hurting now because of that. Square Enix sales were down, I believe, 83% in their last quarter because essentially Final Fantasy didn't meet the sales expectations that they were hoping to have. And that is mostly because the game is not available on PC as of yet. We expect it to be at some point in the future, and it isn't available on Xbox. So Square Enix is hurting. I don't think Capcom is going to be dumb enough to make that decision anymore, so they might make it available everywhere, but you never necessarily know. Again, money speaks, and especially a check paid up front. That's what pretty much got Square Enix into trouble when it came to PlayStation, and Capcom could be swayed, and that's the argument that I tried to make in that video, which would essentially make this brand new Monster Hunter game launch in November, not necessarily in March. And that's entirely what this discussion has been about. But now we have a little bit more information that it could potentially launch in March, not necessarily later in the year, which would make it at the very least a multi-platform console release. It launches same day on PlayStation, it launches the same day on Xbox, presumably, same day on PC, most likely, and of course Nintendo is TBD, waiting to be determined. We wouldn't necessarily see a next mainline Switch console maybe until later in the year. We shouldn't expect one, until, probably next holiday season or something like that. So would the next, mainline Monster Hunter game also be just current gen console exclusive, PlayStation 5, Series X, Series S, PC? Or would they make it playable on Xbox One and PlayStation 4? That's another discussion topic that I certainly want to hit heading into the future. But what we do know now is that Capcom themselves are saying, so for those people who take to Reddit or for example, and they try to say that I'm like misleading or providing misinformation, once again, read the Bloomberg article. Don't take my word for it. Listen to actual journalists talk about this, and then listen to what Capcom is actually saying. And Capcom is saying they are expecting major sales before March of 2024, record-breaking sales, because they got a brand new unannounced game yet to be revealed launching before that specific time period. Once again, we all make the connection because we expect the next mainline Monster Hunter game to be revealed at Tokyo Game Show. If it does, for whatever reason, let me play devil's advocate to my very own argument, just because I do like to do that at the back end of the video, just because for those people who like to pretend that what I'm saying is inaccurate, let me play devil's advocate. If for whatever reason we get to September, Tokyo Game Show happens, Gamescom has already happened, and Capcom doesn't reveal, doesn't tease, doesn't talk about the next mainline Monster Hunter game, then everything that we're talking about here could be potentially hooey. It doesn't actually matter because Capcom is going to reveal it whenever the hell they feel like it. However, because we have plenty of quotes specifically from Capcom already saying that, please, if you're a Monster Hunter fan, look forward to Tokyo Game Show, I think they're setting everything up for that specific date. But if we go through those Tokyo Game Show presentations, Capcom's digital presentation, and they don't reveal anything, then we can actually be looking at a potential PlayStation 5 Pro launch exclusive title, later in next 2024. But if they don't do that and they reveal it at Tokyo Game Show like we fully expect, and I'm certainly sure a lot of you are going to be tuning in for that Capcom digital presentation event, then certainly for sure I think maybe a March release makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. Let's remember, Rise launched in March as well, so a lot to be looking forward to that in that regard. Once again, link in the description below for Takahashi's original Twitter post, their Bloomberg article as well, and more details. Everything is linked in the video description. I know some people ask me for links. Everything is there. Don't worry about it. I always provide the source. I know a lot of people who lift my videos don't provide sources and they just regurgitate what I just said. Actually, they should be providing a source. That's what I try to do. I try to report accurate information, even though people on Reddit seem to think otherwise. If you're brand new to my channel, though, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.